Robots will run the bases now, and they're learning every player's stats. They talk of strikeouts and leads. Can a robo-umpire really bleed? A silicon scout with laser eyes in the diamond of our summer skies.
Hey there, Matt.
Hello, Brian. What's somebody else here with us? Who is that?
I don't know. Who is that?
Who are
Well, I'm Luke McCaddy. I'm Matt's neighbor, but I am a former professional baseball player and player development coach. And currently, I am a assistant golf professional, and I'm working on my career and hopefully being a writer and just enjoying the creative process and seeing where that takes me.
And can you say who you played for?
Yeah,
okay?
so I played. Yeah, I played for. So I was in independent baseball. I played for the Utica Unicorns and the West Side Woolly Mammoths, and then I was a player development coach with the Pittsburgh Pirates and Double-A Altoona.
Awesome.
Very cool.
Well, cool. Well, welcome, Luke. We're going to talk about AI. I know we pretended that we were just going to talk about baseball, and now we've pulled you in on a fabrication. No, we're kidding. I'm kidding. We're going to talk about AI. You knew this.
Yeah.
But as we do in the show, Brian has brought some. Are they terrifying, Brian, or what are these AI developments?
They are very, very interesting.
Okay.
And then depending on, again, your constitution, it depends whether they're terrifying or enlightening, I guess.
Yeah,
I don't
because
know.
sometimes you say interesting and it's they're something else. So okay, I will withhold judgment until
let's
properly terrified.
Let's just see what's what. Again, there was no shortage of new developments, so these are just a few of the stuff that, geez. Okay. Let's see. Should we start with robotics or start with conversational AI? What do you think?
Let's do the robotics first.
Okay. We can do that. Let's see. Here we go. So can you see this? Should see my screen now. I'm just going to go ahead and, you know what I'm going to do is.
It's a big gray screen. Is that what it looks like for you, Luke?
I got the same thing.
That's good. That's what it should look like.
Oh.
Okay.
I'm going to make sure I'm optimized for video clips. There we go. All right.
Hey, Figure One, what do you see right now?
I see a red apple on a plate in the center of the table, a drying rack with cups and a plate, and you standing nearby with your hand on the table.
Great, can I have something to eat?
Sure thing.
Great. Can you explain why you did what you just did while you pick up this trash?
On it. So I gave you the apple because it's the only edible item I could provide you with from the table.
Great. So, based on the scene right now, where do you think the dishes in front of you go next?
The dishes on the table, like that plate and cup, are likely to go into the drying rack next.
Great. Can you put them there?
Of course.
All right, so how do you think you did?
I think I did pretty well. The apple found its new owner, the trash is gone, and the tableware is right where it belongs.
I agree. Thanks, Figure One.
You're welcome. If there's anything else you need help with, just let me know.
So that robot was not trained to specifically do that.
So what does that mean?
That means that it through just observing, watching videos, and just having access and having learned from things on the internet, it just, I don't know, intuitively, it just knew what it was looking at and knew what to do, but it was not like they trained it over and over to try and get it to do these specific things. It just kind of has a general knowledge of things and then figured it out.
So that was in the moment. It
Yep.
was doing that. It's okay.
Yep.
Huh.
And conversing.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yep.
Could it have been accessing online stuff in the moment
Oof,
in order
that was
to do
awfully
things?
fast. Yeah. I don't know. I think it was all within its large language model.
So they just tell a model like this to boot up on the internet for the next 6 months, and when you're done, we're gonna try some stuff.
Sort of. Yeah. It's sort of like the other large language models. So it's like Chat GPT and those things where it's just been trained on lots of data. I think these also have been trained by, since they can see, observing people, and then it's learning. So it just it's like, if you type into Chat GPT, give me the history of an apple, it kind of knows it because it's learned it. But this is also in the moment, figuring everything out and figuring out how to move. It just through observation and
How did they program? Is it by its own choice, or is it the engineers that are developing that for it?
It's like it's more like it's AI, so it's more like it's an intelligence that it has.
It's just everything all at once, like
right.
instantaneous.
It's sort of, it's different than a person, but it's also kind of like a person. So, if I put you in front of a table and said, hey, what should you do? Without having to go look it up, because you observed people doing it. And so they've got robots like this too, if you ask it to do something that it's never done before, but you have somebody in the room doing it, it can observe and then learn how to do it, and then it will do it.
Wow.
Yeah. There's another demo where they have one that starts making espresso with having never learned or known what it was, because there's another person next to it making it, and it's just watching it and then figures it out.
Do we know if is it more reliant on watching videos and seeing other people do it, or is it from reading about it?
I think it's both. Yeah. Yep.
Huh.
Yep. And then it can see and interact with the world, and so it's not confined to a little box that it's sitting in. It's got senses.
The one thing I picked up, which is weird, it made it a little human-like, is when it was talking at first, and it had it put in the sentence. It made it less robotic.
Yes, definitely. And that's kind of if you want, I can go into the next one, which is the conversational AI, which is related to that.
Yeah, do that. Do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's do it. So this is Pi. And let me just make sure that, yep, I'm sharing sound. So go ahead. Let's Pi is an AI developed to be conversational. So you can see it has over here on the left, it has some pre-made topics that you could start talking about with it. So it's got anything from, what's the latest in sports news you could talk to it about. You could talk to it about the nature of consciousness, how to develop deeper relationships, or just type in whatever you want. What do you want to ask it or chat with it about?
Is this my choice, or what? Are we doing a group vote here?
Sure.
Go.
So, can you ask it current sports questions? So I know there is a current thing within baseball on why pitchers are having certain arm problems. I don't know if you can get that in depth with it.
Let's see. How would you say? Can you tell me about why pitchers in baseball are experiencing more what?
More arm injuries.
Should I say recently or just leave it at injuries?
Yeah, recently would be good.
All right. We'll see whether it's...
The recent surge in arm injuries among baseball pitchers is a complex issue with multiple factors at play. Here are a few key factors that have been identified. Young pitchers with underdeveloped baby ligaments being rushed into the major leagues with insufficient minor league experience. An increasing emphasis on high-velocity throwing, often encouraged by pitching labs and coaches, leading to overworked arms and increased injury risk. The recent introduction of the pitch timer rule, which some suggest has led to pitchers altering their throwing mechanics and potentially increasing injury risk. The longer-term trend towards higher fastball velocities, with more pitchers throwing harder than ever before, may also contribute to the increased injury risk. It's clear that this issue requires a collaborative effort between players, coaches, and the league to address, with a focus on developing safer training practices and re-evaluating rules that may contribute to injury risk.
It's pretty amazing.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Is it? I was thinking it would be number 3.
So that's the current topic, right? I know I listened to a couple of things today on it, and I have my own thoughts about it, but I think it's more of pitchers reaching the human limit of their ability. So guys are throwing 100 miles an hour constantly. I believe that has a lot more to do with it. Also, us being able to evaluate biomechanics and push ourselves that far now. I think it is really stretching the limit, but I know there is argument against it, and that it is the pitch timer, or the pitch clock. But yeah, I guess that's up for debate.
I didn't know about this issue, but when I heard him say it, that's why I said it was number 3. Is that what people are saying? Is it's number 3, the pitch timer rule?
Yes, a lot of people are blaming it on that. Yeah.
Look at that. I'm just as good as AI.
I know.
But also, did you guys notice the breathing?
Yes.
And the pauses?
Yes. Yep.
That's crazy.
It's very weird.
I'm gonna ask it what it thinks about what you said.
Yes.
Whether it's related to the pitchers reaching the limit of human ability or capability, maybe. Or what?
Probably capability.
Capability. All right.
That's a fascinating question. It's possible that pitchers today are pushing the limits of what the human body is capable of in terms of throwing velocity and arm stress. The human arm is an incredible machine, but it does have its limits. As pitchers continue to train harder and throw faster, they may be entering uncharted territory in terms of the amount of stress their arms can handle without breaking down. The issue is further complicated by the fact that individual physiology and mechanics can vary widely from one pitcher to the next. Some pitchers may be able to handle high velocities and intense training loads without suffering injuries, while others may be more susceptible to injury even at lower velocities. Ultimately, it's likely that a combination of factors is at play, including biomechanics, training practices, and individual physiology. As our understanding of the human body continues to evolve, it will be interesting to see how the sport of baseball adapts to ensure the long-term health and safety of its pitchers.
Wow.
What do you think of that answer, Luke?
I mean, it's eerie because it's, you know, exactly what I would say. I think it's a combination of things, but it's pretty incredible that it can come up with that right on the spot, right? But yeah, I do think personally that it is to a point where, yeah, I believe, you know, the ability to use certain machines, and I think that's where I know we're going to talk about it today, but the use of AI, being able to analyze biomechanics and have a computer be able to tell you, you know, what you're doing to your body instantaneously and what's good and what's bad, and how to build that and make it stronger so you can throw as hard as possible. But I don't know if it takes into the repercussions. And that's, I guess, part of the uncharted territory I think we're going into is how are we using AI in baseball? And yeah, it's tough. I think it's right though. As far as what it said, that's exactly what I would have said.
How about if we ask it if there are any ethical considerations with using AI to increase, how would we say this, to increase the capabilities
or enhance human ability in sport?
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Absolutely. There are several ethical considerations when it comes to using AI to enhance human ability in sport. Fairness. AI-enhanced athletes may have an unfair advantage over those who do not have access to such technology. Safety. AI-enhanced athletes may be more prone to injuries or long-term health issues if the technology is not properly regulated and tested. Autonomy. Athletes may feel coerced into using AI enhancements to remain competitive, even if they are not comfortable with the technology. Authenticity. The use of AI enhancements may diminish the perceived authenticity of athletic achievements, leading to questions about what constitutes a true human performance. It's important for governing bodies in sports to carefully consider these ethical concerns as they develop policies around the use of AI in athletics. Ultimately, the goal should be to promote fair, safe, and authentic competition that respects the autonomy and well-being of all athletes.
Well, that's nice.
Yeah.
I don't know that well, first and foremost, it's a nice British voice. And I do feel like it must be an intelligent AI because British people are always smarter. Are they?
Yeah.
Oh, Ryan, are you going to do a different voice?
We can pick a different one. Sure.
Cool.
I'll just
if we can get a brief. Yeah.
Absolutely. There are several ethical considerations when it comes to using
like
AI
that
to
one?
enhance human ability and
No, I just
Absolutely.
wanted to hear a couple
There are
of
several
different.
ethical considerations when it comes to using AI to enhance human ability in sport.
Can you do one more?
Sure.
Absolutely. There are several ethical considerations when it comes to using AI to enhance human ability in sport.
Absolutely. There are several ethical considerations when it comes to using AI to enhance human ability
like
in
that one.
sport. Fairness. AI-enhanced athletes.
Yeah.
Sounds smooth.
Yeah. All right. We're going
Wow.
with 4.
They're really ironing out all of the things that made this seem like a video game.
Right.
More, yeah. It's the breathing is really what freaks me out.
It's weird.
The breathing, the pausing, the like, yeah, like it's thinking, even though it doesn't have to do any of that. I mean, and
Yeah.
look how fast it's cranking these answers out. It's like instant. Yep.
So, okay, can we start talking then? I mean,
Sure.
I know that we have been just starting to share some things.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yep.
When you see, so I'm asking Luke, but that, of course, Brian, and I'm going to say things too, but do you see anything in the mechanical at this moment, like seeing that model that we first saw pick up the apple, and could you see that, throwing a slider with that apple? And do you see that as a substitute? Like that's a big jump. What I would see first is that they would see how AI can adapt to working with the human figure, not having a substitute. Any of
Yeah.
these clicking for you?
I just wonder how long before it is able to throw a slider, right? Like if it's able to do those things relatively quickly, I mean, I don't see why it wouldn't be able to mimic something like that.
It has access to every video of every professional baseball player throwing a ball ever. So
it's just, that's going to end up being a robot being the best pitcher of all time. So no, I mean, really, because there are videos of Hall of Famers talking about, like, I don't know, maybe Mariano Rivera throwing a cutter, or Randy Johnson throwing a slider. Like if there's something like that out there, yeah, why would it not be able to translate that?
Just just to kind of piggyback on that, they've trained virtual robots to play soccer, and they'll start off just giving the rules, and then they'll run around and just be a mess, and then they'll start to get better and better and better until they're strategizing and they're playing really, really well. But they can basically simulate, hundreds and hundreds of years of what a person would be experiencing learning how to play a sport, and they'll do it in a day. They'll just run the simulations, so, and then they'll be an expert in it.
But that's unbelievable. But who would win? So, okay, if you have all that data and ability to do that, if you had a robot pitcher versus a robot hitter, they would have access to hitting, and that's a thing that's going to pop up, I think, in the MLB in the next couple of years, is like pitch sequencing and things of that nature with AI. But yeah, how would a hitter get fooled if he has all the data against a robot pitcher as well? So yeah, who would win in that? I mean, I would be kind of curious to see what would happen. I feel like both of them would maybe just explode or light on fire or something. I don't.
But how does that? I mean, see, this is like the out of control nature of this. There is no way to sequence for me to see how this moves forward. Like it's so random. Wow, I've rarely ever used that phrase before, believe it or not. I'm so happy that I could use it. It's so random how we're going to be able to see this transform from what's professional sport is into how this could actually play into it. I see it as more being like steroids, computerized steroids for human beings, not actual steroids, but just like the effect of using AI to better train human beings and then push them, as AI said, beyond their limits and hurt them more and more and more.
Yeah.
How can you actually see mechanical players on the field? I can't see that.
I don't think people would want to watch that, because you don't have the connection to the human connection to it. It's like, but what you just said to me, I do think I could see is a robot trainer who knows everything, who knows everything about you, who's observed you, and can train you to the absolute tip top amount and get everything that they possibly can out of you. That I can see, like a teacher, an AI teacher.
I think that's already happening at some level, or at least it has been implemented since, I think it was around like 2017. They started there's a company called Uplift, I believe the name, I might screw something up, but I believe it's Uplift Biomechanics, and they'll have trainers and that's where it's hardest, distinguishing what's good about using AI to analyze mechanics or teach you how to do certain things, because it's injury prevention is great. But then at the same time, like learning someone's pitch sequencing and like what the tendencies are of someone to throw. I don't know if it's like a 0-2 count. What's he going to throw here? It's a curveball. Why would I want to watch this? What makes any sport worth watching? Like why am I going to sit down and watch a hockey game or a basketball game tonight? What do I get from this? Am I connecting with the players? But for me, if I'm watching something, and I think baseball is kind of already headed that way, where we're starting to, at least with pitchers, everyone's throwing as hard as possible. I think it's taking some of the strategy out of the game, because I feel like a lot of it is let's see how hard we can throw, let's see how many home runs we can hit. And I know I'm dumbing that way down and really watering it down, but I feel like it is where it's not the guy that's trotting out there, he's throwing 88 and he can move fastballs inside, outside, throwing changeups. It's all trying to get us to the highest potential we have as a human to throw a baseball or do certain things. So I think the teachers are already there. They're looking at certain things, but like when does it stop?
Yeah.
Well, you also had brought up, what first came to you when you and I originally talked. By the way, I probably have said the phrase, that's so random. I sounded really patronizing there a moment ago. I regret that. So please, people on YouTube, I have said it before. Okay, now back to our regular program. You had talked about the idea of umpires and AI being involved. Like, can you imagine a mechanized umpire behind the plate? Or, I mean, in a way, they could put up a visual sensor in front of the hitter that changes with the size of the hitter, the rectangle for and so it will be absolutely laser accurate. It won't be any question. Was it outside of the box? We'll know exactly. Is that fun?
And that's if I was playing, you were to ask me that, it would be interesting, right? Now, to me, jokingly, I'd be like, the umpires, just get rid of them. We don't need them anyway. But no, it is definitely, it's a part of the game. Like each game, you have a different umpire, a different personality. There's certain, they have a certain way they call a game, or they do it that day. Maybe they're giving you some pitches outside. They're expanding the zone a little bit. But yeah, no, we talked about it. And I personally don't like the idea of a robot umpire, because it takes the human element out of the game. Just thinking about certain things. And I was talking to a friend of mine the other day about it. And I'm like, what do you think if they were to remove an umpire? You would have never had the Jim Joyce, I believe his name is the umpire. There was a perfect game thrown by, or almost thrown by, a Detroit Tiger. It was in the ninth inning. I believe would have been the last out of the game. And the umpire blew a call at first base. And it was pretty blatant. And this was before they added the ability to have replay. So he costed that guy a chance at a perfect game, right? But would I be talking about that years later or with my buddies? Do we have that memory of watching that and being like, oh my God, I can't believe they just screwed that up? And we were both thinking, no, probably not. Like I remember the missed calls or something out of the ordinary like that happens. So I think there's benefits. Definitely, you want to have an even playing field and you want everything to be accurate. But at the same time, it does take the human element out of the game.
Couldn't you just take a AI umpire and just like that conversational AI add imperfections so it gets them wrong sometimes and some random things that would be not right? And
why get rid of the humans though?
Yeah.
And then here's one of the things too, and I can imagine people saying this. Okay, the level of the intervention of technology into sport, in particular baseball, as it is right now, has been helpful to be able to have the umpires all gather around that thing and put the hood over their heads and really watch. I think that's been good. And there are people who are going to say this is just an advancing beyond that, but it's not. It's not. It's a replacement of the human being. It's not adding to the tools of the human being. And this is one of things we've bumped in time and again on this show is that people think that, well, AI for creativity is just, okay, it's a better typewriter.
Yeah.
It's a better camera. No, it's not. It's replacing the person who used from my perspective.
Yeah.
And so this is one of the issues I think that'll come up in every single human endeavor that AI bumps into and tries to get itself involved in. And the proponents are going to say, oh, no, it's just, well, the proponents are something else, but the people who are learning about it now, this is where we've heard people say this. You get what I'm saying, Brian? How we've heard people say, oh, it's just an advance on okay, so I've said what I wanted to say.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's easy to think that it's just the same as every other technological advancement, but
Yeah.
I think we know that it's something else. So how, like, I'm curious. So with baseball, should there be, like, I'm thinking about coaches, and then
Yeah.
coaches using AI to analyze their opponent so thoroughly and strategize, and then ones that don't you're going to have a big advantage. And then how would you even police that?
And I
If you
think
would you police that?
Yeah. And I think that is because it's so early on in it, right? Like with everything, I'm sure in multiple facets of not just baseball, but any other career, it's like the Wild West. Like it's all happening right in front of our eyes. We know it's coming, but there is no policing so far. So it's when do you start developing tools that can catch it, or does everybody do it? And I was listening to an interview. They actually, I know I think it's 8 cameras are set up around a major league stadium, and they're I don't know if it's every game or how they do it, or if it's just certain players, but they are able to analyze pitchers. And there's a big thing in baseball, like pitch tipping. So it's been a part of the game forever. Like you're always, and I know people get riled up about cheating and like pitchers using foreign substances, but it's been part of the game forever. So players will sit in the dugouts in the off day, and you'll try to like see if you can pick up signs or any sort of thing, and you can relay the information to the hitter. Like if I know a pitcher's moving his arm a certain way, he's throwing a curveball, and you could yell something to the batter to try and make them aware of that. So now they have the cameras placed, in center field, right field, and there will be somebody at home, not a part of the team, analyzing that data or whatever. They're getting that info in real time, and then they can let them know, via someone in the clubhouse that runs out and is like, hey, this guy's doing this. So now it's a computer has actually been able to like visual or see a pitcher's forearm and the way he's flexing tendons, and knew he was throwing a splitter. So now you're seeing guys already pulling a lot of guys, if they had their hands far away from their body, now they're in close to their body, they're near their belt line, trying to hide that from people being able to see it. So it's kind of happening, but yeah, you don't want it to get to a point where people can use it to cheat. And it makes it a little more difficult after the Houston Astros scandal from a couple of years ago, because I mean that's the same thing. So it's hard. It's like guys cheat in baseball; it's part of the game. But when it's computers, it feels like it's something different. Like everybody else is in the agreement of like, if it's just a guy throwing a curveball with some pine tar, you're like, as long as he doesn't get caught. But yeah, as soon as it's computer, you're like we can't have that's not the same. So I don't know.
Yeah, well then my brain kind of goes to, okay, if the coaches are going to be using AI, and then AI is determining what everybody's doing, then everybody's just taking direction from something not human.
Well, and what's the fun? And
right.
What's the fun? Why
then everybody's a puppet.
Yeah, you're just going out there, and I know it happens to I don't know if it's really AI, but like sabermetrics. And I feel bad, but I would actively root against coaches and teams that I knew, because some organizations are more involved with it than others. But like you'll sit there and sorry about that. So you'll sit there, and then you'll have a player in like the 8th inning, say he hits a certain amount of pitches, or they can read the data on his fastball, like spin rate. If something's down, they can be like, well, the computer says we should take him out at this point, so let's get him out of the game. So the Rays did that, and I think it was Blake Snell. I forgot who they were playing, but they took him out. He had like a 1 or 2 hit game going, took him out of the game. They ended up losing the World Series because of it. So it's the computer data was wrong in that situation. And I think and I know, yeah, analytics, I don't know if that's technically AI or using sabermetrics to figure out that info, but yeah, I don't think it takes into an account, like if you're in the World Series or if it's just a regular season game, or just what the moment is currently. I think there's a lot of factors in play in that. So how do you determine or go with your gut versus do what the computers tell you is the right thing to do 87% of the time? So I don't know, baseball's in a funny spot.
Well, it's been in that spot for a little while too. The limited knowledge that I have is watching Moneyball, and
Yeah.
the argument in that one, which was Grady, I think was the guy's name, who his first name was the scout, saying,
Yeah.
people over here who are, have 30 plus years of or 100 plus years of experience, and then you've got you and Google Boy over there using statistics. Which one are you going to believe?
Yeah.
And then the A's went 20 straight games.
Yeah.
So I think it's not a bad thing, is it? I mean, they figured out a way to put together a team that was incredibly inexpensive to them because they had a low budget. And it was based upon, we're not looking for home runs, we're looking for you getting on base.
Yes.
When you take 3 pitches before you swing, your percentage of getting on base is much higher.
Yeah.
So that's like the Saber stuff that you're talking about, is considering all of those statistics.
Yeah.
And computizing the game that way, which already is pissing people off since Moneyball.
Yes. And yeah,
Some people.
No, it definitely has. Like, I know there are people that really enjoy it, and it's cool. I think there needs to be a marriage between the two of having the guys that have experience versus the new school of thought with using numbers and data and computer driven analytics. I think it's I don't know what it is, but I know it would be really nice if there was a way to combine both of them. So I think, yeah, you'd be foolish not to use the computer things. But and after the A's did Moneyball, now all the teams do that as well, so that it did level the playing field. But yeah, for a minute it would really had them at an advantage. And granted, the guys that I feel like some of that story was embellished a little bit, because they had, I believe, like 4 all-stars, or I don't know how many it was, but they had really good players on that team as well. And yeah, I think it definitely has brought the game into a new era. And I think now it's going past that, right? Now everybody does that. And now it's moving into AI potentially. So it'll be interesting. But to me, it's like, what's the fun in sitting there and reading a spreadsheet or plugging something into a computer and then telling me I have to take a guy out here, or he's going to throw a fastball on this count? I don't know. It's just, it's not as fun to me. And I don't know if that makes me just an old man, like, get off my lawn guy, but I don't know. Yeah, I definitely don't like it as much.
Well, what about, and they may be doing this already, but using AI, because it's so good at pattern recognition, and
yeah.
And it can see now, using it to evaluate the potential of players, and then having the AI decide whether or not they're worth having on a team or being a professional or whatever, because it can extrapolate what's going to happen, or if they're injury prone, or what their growth rate might be.
I think that's.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Matt.
No, you got an answer there. I want to hear it.
No, I think it's definitely a thing. And just talking to some guys, I know it's starting to happen where you wonder if scouts are getting replaced, because they are. It is able to do pattern recognition, analyzing mechanics, and then deciding who they think is going to be, a potential major leaguer. Right. So and that's just
he may have an Achilles injury in 2 years, so maybe pass on him.
We learned that too, Brian, with the listening to somebody's voice.
Right.
Yeah, I can decide whether or not you have the propensity for diabetes.
Or it knows if you have diabetes.
Yeah.
Just by listening to your voice.
If you combine that with more and more studies, and again, it's just pattern repetition. The reason why the AI can see that is because it's seen millions of people who have diabetes and they have a certain speech pattern. So let's say they do that with all kinds of stuff, including a propensity for arthritis at an early age or a propensity for weakened ligaments at an early age. And they watch a 19-year-old throw a 107-mile-per-hour fastball, 20 in a row. But he's got the propensity for early stage arthritis when he's only 29. We're not going to invest in this kid.
Yep.
Yeah. No, it's like Jacob deGrom. I know that's like a player like that. I same kind of thought. The guy's a Cy Young Award winner, unbelievable pitcher, great stuff, but he's injury prone. So I would wonder what a computer would tell me when I'm looking at the guy that throws. He'd be around 100 miles an hour with his fastball, movement on everything, wipe out sliders. What would my computer tell me, and then would I have to trust that?
And then that's we talked about replacing the umpires. If we think of, and this may not be the best metaphor, but baseball is like an opera. The enjoyment is the up and the down of the crescendo and the quiet moments. And when unfortunately, I grew up outside of Boston, and we've talked about this before too, and the Red Sox disease, I mean religion, I mean fandom, nation. And one of the things for me is that the reason why 2004 was so tremendous was because there had been 86 years prior to that didn't have that. Now, if we even everything out and everybody is talented and it's a democratic AI nation, then where's the fun in that?
I completely agree. I'm with you. Honestly, with the game, I truly think the game is more fun with the wide variety of pitchers and hitters and batting stances and not locations, but fastball velocity. I think that's one thing it's kind of turned me off a little bit to it, is like everybody now, like when I was a kid, I would get excited if you saw, a guy coming out of the bullpen. There you go, Red Sox, Jonathan Papelbon. He threw pretty hard. He'd be like 95. I don't know if he would get up to 98, but you're like, wow, this guy really is something different. I don't see this. But now it's every single guy that comes into the game is throwing 100. So why is that fun to watch for me as a player? Like, yeah, it is, and that's one of those things where it's like maybe we're so spoiled now, where it's like everybody throws 100. You just come in, you're like, oh, fun, guy's throwing 100 again, and it's straight. He's got a wipeout curveball. So there's no variety anymore to me in pitchers, at least. So it takes some of the enjoyment out of the game for me a little.
Have you we looked at this in a previous episode, but have you seen where they hooked up I think it was ChatGPT, but anyway, they hooked an AI up to because with a visual system, so they could watch a game, and it was able to call play by play as it was happening, and it knew everything about the players that it was talking about, and it knew all about the strategies, and it spoke in a way that was like getting really excited when there was a goal about to be scored. This was a soccer game.
Wow.
And yeah, so I mean, I think that's gonna have to wrestle with that too, is the announcing and calling of games. And
so are we trying to replace every single human element of everything we do anymore? Like you can't even listen to the wacky broadcaster anymore, like a Harry Carey or
well, you could get an AI that would sound exactly like Harry Carey, or you could say, okay, I want my game to be called by Robin Williams or whatever, but...
That would be really bizarre.
Yeah. And with the voice stuff, it just sounds like you could do it and not even tell people, and they wouldn't know that it wasn't a human.
Yeah.
It's truly seamless right now. It has come to that point where, having seen Brian, who does not speak Spanish, share something a couple of months ago with one of the models, and it had Brian saying the same thing in Spanish after he'd said it in English, and he doesn't speak Spanish. And it looked like Brian, and it sounded like Brian.
Yeah, it generated a version of me that it wasn't me, but you couldn't tell. And I can have it. I can speak any language that I want.
And we were looking really hard, and there really were I didn't see any moments of like, okay, his jaw's dislocated from his, there were no small.
No.
So they're there months ago to be able to do that.
But how do you trust anything anymore? You know what I mean? If you're not available to, some of the software or whatever it would be to be able to notify you that something was fake. Yeah. What do you know? And it's almost like the Matrix or something, or it's like what's real and what's not. And I feel like it's going to be a weird future.
Well, let me just say we have gone for about an hour now, which is, wow, we really ate up time here. Brian, would you and Luke, would you guys both be open to a second half of this? Because I want to get into also the creativity, and are you okay with that, Brian, or what do you think? Do you want to keep going?
I have to go at 8, but I would love to do part 2.
Okay.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
We'll just check in with you next week and see if would you want to do you have anybody scheduled, Brian? We should do this after we stop recording, but
yeah.
All right.
Yeah, we'll make it happen.
Okay, cool. Okay. Yeah, sorry. I don't know if I was going over my time talking.
No, this is perfect. This is this is I love this.
This is good material.
This is excellent.
Okay, so what do we usually do at the end? Do we ask Luke a question? Maybe we'll ask him that. Don't we usually like say something poignant? Really brilliant. Saying something brilliant, Luke. No.
Yeah.
We'll wait till next week.
Go ahead. Right now.
We'll be waiting a while.
Yeah.
There you go. Boom. Done.
Let me get up my AI app and
I know. Yeah.
I'll have AI make something. It'll be great. Don't worry about it.
Can you have it give me hair?
In fact, yes. that is.
You're looking at it.
Yeah. I mean,
this is all AI.
I don't have a beard. What are you talking about?
Well, thank you, Luke.
Yeah, thank you guys. It's fun. I like talking about this stuff. So
yeah,
cool. Till next.
Peace out. Thank you, everybody.
Right.
Bye.
See you guys.
The bots will run the bases now, and they're learning every player's stats. They talk of strikeouts and leads. Can a robo-umpire really bleed? A silicon scout with laser eyes in the diamond of our summer sky.